Hey everyone, so what I've got here today is a RSE, what is that, WHDTV, what is this brand? Rear Seat Entertainment. Okay. This is out of like a camper van motorhome scenario. It's a 12 to 24 volt TV, and looks like it's had a bit of a rough life. There's the controls here with an infrared receiver, which appears to be a bit scratched up. But the main problem is the RF plug has come broken off where the aerial plugs in, standard aerial plug. It has got like a satellite connector on the side here, or DVB S2 connector, but that's where it's supposed to go. Have to figure out if we can reattach this or have to find some other method to allow them to plug their antenna in. We're off to a good start here with this screw. Is jammed in on an angle. There's a gap underneath it, so it's not even the right screw, and it is physically different to the other screws. So it's got a domed head on it, whereas that one's got a flat head on it. So someone's definitely tried to have a go at this. Here's a mount that has been hacksawed hacksawed through, or ground through. They probably used a power tool actually, ground through this mounting stud to get it off the bracket. There's burnt plastic, so it must have been a high-speed tool, maybe even a jigsaw, but it's melted the plastic around it and so forth. And if I tip it up and down, it does rattle. I guess given the rough state it's in, I should make sure it turns on before I pull the back off it. I've got a red light down the bottom right corner here and standby, so I'm just going to hit a few buttons and see if I can make it turn on. There we go, RSE with wireless audio technology. So that's good. So with all the screws off the back gone, the front panel comes off. There's the connector to the back of the screen itself, and then another one that goes down to the front corner. Actually, I think that's backlight. That's backlight. Glued on, you'll need to fight your way through to get that off. And it looks like just a couple of screws to get the main board out, and we can see what's going on under there and how much of a mess it is, because it does look like someone may have been trying to solder it back on themselves. Just the sort of the lump of material that fell out the back looked a bit like soldered on wire. Alright, okay, so the whole thing's encased in this metal box, so we'll have to get the cover off that. But the rest of it looks okay. Let's see if we can get the can removed. It should be fairly straightforward. Nice hot iron. Let's get some fresh solder on it first. There's 4. Oh, lovely. Somebody has drowned this in some kind of epoxy in a previous repair attempt. I have to clean all that off first, because that just smells horrible when you hit it with the iron. Not the best iron for large thermal mass problem solving. what they've done is they've actually, a previous repair attempt is you use some sort of glue to hold this back onto the can, and then solder a little wire down onto the board, which is understandable. The only problem with that is glue is an insulator, and the outside of this metal can has to make contact with this metal can shield in order for the signal to pass through correctly. Okay, so I've got a bit of a plan of attack. I was originally, I thought, oh, I'll just get, you know, one of these, and it's a socket, and I can stick a bit of coax onto it, like a bit of coax like that, and run it out the back of the TV, and just have that hanging off the end, and solder the other end inside, and they can just plug into this. And I thought, when I was looking for the socket, I found a much nicer solution, a little panel mount socket. So what I'm going to do, here's the panel from the back, and it was like that. So oh, there you go. So that's how it was. So what I'm going to do, there's not enough room here where it initially came out, that hole. So I'm going to drill a hole over here and mount it at this end where there's plenty of space inside. And then what we'll do is I'll run the bit of coax over to the new socket. There seems to be a reasonable amount of room beside here as far as the plastic moulding of the case goes, so I'll just plop that on there and just get a marker and put a bit of a mark there, so I know I want to drill through roughly there. And we want a hole size of, what's that, 10mm hole size there. Alright, one hole, and what I'm thinking of doing is we have our panel like that, and what I'll do is we'll use the original can, of course, because we need to shield that circuitry, but I'll mount it with the hole facing in. That way I can run the cable in through the hole, in theory. By the time I strip the outer back, what I'll do is I'll run the center core through the hole and down onto the board, and just solder the outer braid to the can, and then it's going to come out of the hole and out of the can and around and over to the socket. So that's the general plan. So the can is roughly yay long, so I need to strip it back to about there. Hey, didn't cut a strand. Twist all that up. Now, is that centerpiece going to go through the hole in the can? Yeah. Again, the cable itself is too fat as one piece. So now we'll just cut the end off of that, and I need a short piece to go into the PCB. And then that's going to go through there we'll solder that down onto the board and pop the can down on top of it, which is going to be, I should be able to do that, hang it out the side. Hopefully it'll be big enough for the wire to go through. There we are. Let's see if that's going to fit. Yeah, piece of cake. I have to hold that in place while I solder it. This is where flux is really handy. If you get some flux down in the hole that you're working on, then all you have to do is load up the solder iron with solder. When you hold it onto the joint, the solder will just naturally follow with the flux. It'll flow down and fill up the hole. Probably should have pre-tinned the cable. It might have made things a bit easier. That looks pretty good. Now we should be able to flip that can over and sit it back exactly where it came out of, just in reverse. And of course there's always some solder on one of the tags that doesn't allow it in. There we go. That's what we're going for there. We'll just set it up on the side cutters there so that pushes the can against the board and we have the pins all the way through. Looks alright to me. Then we're going to take this outer braid, it'll be soldered onto the can. Yeah, there's lots of room between the top of the case and the case itself. So we'll just load that up, stick it on. I won't tin the cable first because that's, I just had a thought, what if this is aluminium strands? I won't tin that first because it just makes it hard to bend and work with, so I'll just load it up with flux and put some solder on the tip, and then we'll just get it all hot together. And I really hope it is not, but I think it might be. Well, that's annoying. So what I've done is I've crimped on a brass braid terminal and cut the end off, and I'll just solder that to the top. But I'll tin that first just to make my job a bit easier. Might need some more heat even. Oh, there we go. Squash it out. The macro on this camera is shocking. Now I'll just have to use this this washer because I can't solder to it, and I'll just have to sandwich the outer braid between here and the metal plate that goes on, which that will suffice. Just be a bit fiddly really. That's going to come around to here, and there's plenty of cable slack. Maybe I need a bit less slack. That was sitting all together. Just make sure I avoid the connectors. It's a little bit rigid, it's not too bad. I guess if we it's fine. That'll give me a good length of braid to clamp, so maybe even wrap around the plug, but we'll trim it back to there. Can always trim it back a bit more. There we go. And we'll have a little piece to wrap around the middle, and we'll get that braid over to there and should be able to clamp that down around there. So after being up around 420 to get some heat into that big can, you want to come back down to something more reasonable for doing the little connector pin, because it is only a plastic center here. If you get that molten, then it'll start sliding around and go off center, and that won't be very good. You won't be able to get your plug in the hole on the other side. So we'll get the outer braid onto between the washer and the metal plate. Twist it up nice and tight so the end's not sticking out everywhere. Well, that was more of a battle than I'd care to admit, but I got it in the end. And if I was going to do it again, I'd probably strip off another 20 mils or so more, so I had a longer braid. But I did have kind of a short cable to start with, really looking at where it was routing. Probably wouldn't have mattered too much, but I ran with it. I got it under there, got it tightened down, and that should be all we need to do. So the board's in, screwed into place, and you can see our modification comes around the side into the connector. And one thing that you might want to think about that I didn't is once you've done that, will you still be able to get an aerial plug into there? Because there's not a lot of room. Actually, another thing I just thought about is where the well, no, that won't be a problem. I was thinking of the mounting bracket or what have you, but there's other connectors here that you have to get access to, so it's not going to be blocked off. But it always pays to think ahead about where you're putting stuff and what you're doing, but anyway, that will work. Let's get the rest of it together and try it out. Alright, we all plugged in. Plenty of room for the cable to loop in. I could probably run down the channel here, run in and up, depends on how the cable management works. Yeah, I've got it upside down for cable convenience, so anywho, plug it in. On is a big one. There we go, there we go. What source? HDMI. There's a... Alright. How do I get out of this? There we go. Analog TV. Does it have Freeview? I don't even know if it's got Freeview. No signal. Alright, well, I managed to select the source, but without the remote I can't tune this thing in. I've tried everything. I can get to the menu and I can go down to tuning, but none of the keys are actually select. It's just ridiculous. You need the remote to set it up. So I'm going to call it fixed. There's absolutely no reason why that won't work. And thanks for watching.